The stars around Earth looked peaceful, but everyone knew they weren't. For days, messages had been coming in from all over the galaxy. The Crenari were coming, and they were angry. Jack Morgan stood on the bridge of his ship, the USS Solitary. He was a tall man with short gray hair and brown eyes that had seen too much war. Today, those eyes watched the screens in front of him, showing hundreds of red dots moving closer to Earth. "They're here, Captain," said Amy Lee. She was his second in command, a woman who never showed fear even when she felt it. Her black hair was tied back and her hands moved quickly over her control panel. 1,042 ships, just like the report said. Jack nodded. He had known this day would come. The Crenari Empire had been conquering worlds for 300 years. They would send their giant fleet to a planet, demand surrender, and destroy anyone who said no. No one had ever beaten them. "Any word from the Council?" Jack asked. "Yes, sir," Amy replied. "All the other races are watching. They want to see what happens to us." The galaxy had been talking about this for weeks. 27 different alien races had gathered to watch from safe distances. They all knew Earth's history. Humans were young compared to them, barely 200 years in space. But humans were also strange. They fought when they should run. They tried new things when old ways worked fine. "Captain, we're getting a message," said Paul Chen, the communications officer. He was young, maybe 25, with a nervous habit of tapping his fingers. "Put it through," Jack ordered. The main screen lit up with the face of Commander Vexillar. The Crenari leader looked like a giant insect crossed with a lizard. His purple scales shimmered and his forearms moved as he spoke. "Humans of Earth," Vexillar said. His voice sounded like grinding rocks. "I am Commander Vexillar of the mighty Crenari Empire. You have 1 hour to surrender. Send your fleet to meet us or we will destroy your world." The bridge went quiet. Everyone waited for Jack to speak. "This is Captain Jack Morgan of Earthship Solitary. We hear you, Commander." Vexillar's four eyes narrowed. "Where is your fleet, human? Our scanners show only one ship. Surely you have more." "No, Commander, just us." The alien commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "One ship? Against the might of the Crenari Empire? Your leaders have sent you to die." Jack smiled. "We'll see about that." The communication ended. Around the bridge, Jack's crew looked at each other. They all knew the plan, but knowing and believing were different things. Amy moved closer to Jack. "Sir, the other races are talking. They think we're crazy." "Let them talk," Jack said. He turned to face his crew. "Remember why we're here. For 200 years, humans have been the new kids in the galaxy. Everyone thought we were weak, too emotional, too unpredictable. Today, we show them different. Outside, space itself seemed to hold its breath." The Crenari fleet spread out in their famous attack pattern. It looked like a giant claw reaching for Earth. Each ship was bigger than anything humans had built before. Their weapons had turned entire moons to dust. "Mike, how's our engine?" Jack called out. Mike Torres answered from the engineering station. "Running perfect, Captain. The quantum core is stable, power output at maximum." Mike was the best engineer in Earth's fleet. He had helped design the Solitary's special systems. If anyone could keep the ship running, it was him. "Lisa, what about the defensive systems?" Jack asked. Dr. Lisa Park looked up from her science station. "All green, Captain. The absorption fields are ready. The adaptive matrix is online." She pushed her glasses up her nose. "We're as ready as we'll ever be." The watching alien races sent message after message. The Altarians, who looked like floating jellyfish, asked if Earth needed help. The Zendi, beings of pure energy, offered to negotiate. The stone-like Gorvin suggested immediate surrender. Earth's answer surprised them all. "We thank our friends for their concern," the message said, "but humanity will face this challenge alone." The Solitary moved forward. It was not a big ship by galactic standards. The Crenari battleships were each 10 times its size. But there was something different about how it moved. Something that made the watching aliens pause. "Captain, detecting massive energy buildup in the Crenari fleet," Amy reported. "They're charging weapons." "Steady as she goes," Jack said. He sat in his command chair, hands relaxed on the armrests. Let them make the first move. In the depths of space, ancient races watched through powerful scanners. The Eldari, oldest of all known races, whispered among themselves. They had seen the rise and fall of thousands of civilizations. Never had they seen someone face the Chronari with just one ship. The humans are either very brave or very stupid, said the Eldari Prime. Perhaps both, answered his advisor. But look at their ship's energy signature. It's unusual. The Chronari fleet finished spreading out. Each ship locked its weapons on the lone human vessel. Commander Vexillar appeared on screen again. Last chance, humans. Surrender now, and some of you may live as slaves. Fight, and you all die. Jack stood up. Commander Vexillar, Earth chooses freedom. We will not surrender. Then you have chosen death, Vexillar roared. All ships open fire. 1,000 Chronari ships fired at once. Beams of orange energy shot through space, each one powerful, enough to split asteroids. They all headed for one target, the USS Solitary. Jack's crew didn't flinch. They had trained for this moment. They believed in their ship, their captain, and most of all, in human engineering. The galaxy watched as humanity's only defender disappeared in a storm of deadly energy. The Chronari's weapons hit with the force of exploding stars. Space itself seemed to scream. When the light faded, every watching race expected to see debris. The Chronari had never failed to destroy a target. Their weapons were perfect. Their aim, true, but the Solitary was still there. Report, Jack called out. Shields holding at full power, Lisa said, surprise in her voice. The absorption matrix worked. We actually got stronger. The bridge erupted in controlled celebration. Their plan had worked. The technology they had spent 50 years developing had done its job. Commander Vexillar's face appeared again. This time his 4 eyes were wide with shock. Impossible. No ship can survive the fleet's combined fire. Commander, Jack said calmly, humanity has learned much from watching your conquests. We studied every battle. We learned from every world you destroyed. And we found your weakness. We have no weakness, Vexillar screamed. You do, Jack replied. You've been using the same tactics for 300 years. The same weapons, the same strategies. You never changed because you never had to. Until now. The watching galaxy held its breath. Something unprecedented was happening. The unbeatable Chronari Empire had met something new, something they didn't understand. And in the cold depths of space, one human ship faced down an empire. The Chronari fleet hung in space like angry wasps around their nest. Commander Vexillar stared at his screens, his 4 hands gripping his command console. The human ship was still there, untouched, impossible. Fire again, he ordered. All ships, maximum power. Another 1,000 beams struck the Solitary. The space around the human ship turned white with energy. Watching aliens turned away from their screens, unable to look at such brightness. When the light faded, the Solitary floated, exactly where it had been. On the bridge of the human ship, Lisa Park studied her readings. Captain, the absorption rate is increasing. Each attack makes our shields 30% stronger than before. Jack Morgan leaned forward in his chair. Just as we planned. Mike, how's the power core? Mike Torres grinned from his engineering station. Better than ever, Captain. We're storing their energy and converting it. It's like they're charging our batteries for us. The news spread quickly among the watching races. The Altarians pulsed in different colors, their way of showing excitement. The energy beings called Zendi vibrated at frequencies that meant surprise. Even the ancient Eldari leaned forward to watch more closely. Humans have created something new, the Eldari Prime whispered. Something we have not seen in 10,000 years of watching the stars. Commander Vexillar's purple scales turned darker, a sign of Chronari rage. Charge the planet killer weapons, he shouted. We'll see how they handle our ultimate power. Of the largest Chronari ships moved forward. These were their dreadnoughts, ships so powerful that they had cracked moons in half. Each one began charging a weapon that glowed red at its center. Captain detecting massive energy buildup, Amy Lee reported. It's their planet killers. If those hit Earth, they won't hit Earth, Jack said calmly. Kate, prepare evasive pattern, Sigma 7. Kate Walker smiled from the helm. She was the best pilot in Earth's fleet chosen specially for this mission. Her fingers danced over the controls. Pattern Sigma 7 ready, Captain. This is going to be fun. The planet killer weapons fired. 10 beams of red death shot through space, each one powerful enough to burn through a small moon. They converged on the Solitary's position. Kate moved. The Solitary danced through space in ways that shouldn't have been possible. It twisted, spun, and curved around the deadly beams. The watching galaxy gasped. No ship that size should move like that. How? Commander Vexillar demanded. Your ship has no visible thrusters. How are you moving like that? Jack activated the communication system. We call it quantum displacement. Commander, we don't push against space, we simply decide to be somewhere else. The Crenari commander's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of confusion. That's impossible. The energy requirements alone would be massive, yes, Jack interrupted, unless you had a power source that grew stronger every time someone shot at you. Thanks for the energy, by the way. The planet killer beams missed the Solitary completely. They continued through space, heading into the darkness between stars. But then something strange happened. The beams began to curve. What's happening? Vexler screamed at his science officers. On the Solitary, Lisa Park explained to her captain. The quantum wake from our movement, sir. It's bending space slightly. Those beams are following the curve. Jack nodded. And where are they curving? Toward? Lisa checked her calculations. Back toward the Crenari fleet, sir. In about 30 seconds, they're going to hit their own ships. Panic spread through the Crenari fleet. Ships tried to move, but they were too big, too slow. The planet killer. Beams struck 3 of their own dreadnoughts. The massive ships exploded in balls of orange fire. Your own weapons, Commander, Jack said over the communication channel. We didn't fire a single shot. The watching galaxy erupted in discussion. The Gorvans rumbled like earthquakes. The Altarians flashed in rapid patterns. The Zendi sent waves of energy that meant disbelief. The humans are not fighting, observed the Eldari Prime. They are teaching. Commander Vexillar was beyond rage now. His scales had turned black and his forearms shook. Launch the flesh-eater missiles, launch everything. From 500 Crenari ships came a swarm of missiles. These were the terror weapons that had ended rebellions on 100 worlds. Each missile contained nanobots that could eat through any material, including living tissue. Paul Chen looked up from his communication station. Captain, I'm picking up fear from the other races. Those missiles, they're afraid of what they'll do to Earth if they get past us. Jack stood up. They won't get past us. Ben, it's your turn. Ben Harris had been waiting quietly at the weapons station. Now he smiled. Finally. Activating the mirror field. The Solitary glowed with a soft blue light. As the missiles approached, something strange happened to space around the ship. It rippled like water. What are you doing? Vexlar demanded. We call it the mirror field, Jack explained. It doesn't destroy. It reflects. Everything you send at us goes back to you. The flesh-eater missiles hit the blue field and bounced. Back. Not just bounced. They returned at twice their original speed. The Crenari fleet tried to shoot them down, but there were too many moving too fast. Explosions rippled through the Crenari formation. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries dissolved as their own weapons consumed them. In minutes, 200 Crenari vessels were gone. Please, Vexlar begged, stop this. We surrender. Not yet, Jack said. The galaxy is watching, Commander. They need to see the truth about the Crenari Empire. Matt Jones, the ship's computer specialist, had been working quietly. Now he spoke up. Captain, I've hacked their command network. I have access to their historical records. Show them, Jack ordered. Show everyone what the Crenari really are. On screens across the galaxy, images appeared. The truth about the Crenari conquests. They hadn't won through superior technology or tactics. They had won through fear and brutality. They attacked peaceful worlds. They destroyed races that only wanted to explore and learn. You're not warriors, Jack said to Vexlar. You're bullies. And like all bullies, you've never faced someone who could fight back. The remaining Crenari ships began to retreat, but they found they couldn't move. The Solitary had extended an energy field that held them in place. We're not done, Jack said. You came here to teach humanity a lesson. Instead, we'll teach you one. Dr. Emma White spoke from the medical station. Captain, I'm reading massive stress levels in the Crenari crews. They're terrified. Good, Jack replied. They should be. They've spent 300 years making others feel this way. Now they know how it feels. The watching galaxy was silent now. They were seeing something that hadn't happened in recorded history. The Crenari Empire, undefeated for 3 centuries, was being humbled by a single ship. Please, Vexlar begged, again. What do you want from us? Jack walked to the center of his bridge. His crew watched him with pride. Outside, 1,000 alien races waited to hear what humanity would demand. We want you to stop, Jack said simply. Stop conquering. Stop destroying. Stop making others afraid. And if we refuse? Vexlar asked. Jack smiled. Then we'll stop you, not by destroying you, but by showing the galaxy that you can be beaten. That fear doesn't have to rule, that there's a better way. The Solitary glowed brighter. Its energy field expanded, surrounding the entire Crenari fleet. In that moment, every watching race understood. Humanity wasn't here to conquer. They were here to change everything. The Crenari fleet hung helpless in the Solitary's energy field. Like insects caught in a web, they could not move. Commander Vexlar's 4 eyes showed fear for the first time in his long life. What kind of weapon is this? Vexlar asked. His voice shook. Jack Morgan stood calm on his bridge. It's not a weapon, Commander. We call it the Unity Field. It connects all things in its range, makes them work together whether they want to or not. The watching galaxy buzzed with wonder. The Eldari Prime leaned forward. They've done it. They've created a field that makes cooperation mandatory. This changes everything. Amy Lee studied her screens. Captain, I'm reading something strange. The Crenari ships, their systems are starting to sync with each other. Jack nodded. That's part of the design. The field doesn't just hold them, it teaches them. Right now, every Crenari ship computer is sharing data, learning about each other, understanding. On the Crenari command ship, chaos was spreading. Officers reported strange things. Their weapons systems were talking to their life support. Their engines were sharing data with their food processors. Everything was connecting. Make it stop, Vexlar shouted. We don't want to be connected. That's your problem, Jack replied. You've spent 300 years alone, separate, taking but never giving. Now you'll learn what it means to be part of something bigger. Dr. Lisa Park made an announcement. Captain, the quantum resonance is perfect. We can begin phase 2. Do it, Jack ordered. The Solitary's blue glow changed to gold. Throughout the Crenari fleet, something wonderful and terrible began. Every Crenari could suddenly feel what every other Crenari felt. Fear, anger, confusion, but also deeper things, hidden things. What's happening to us? Vexlar gasped. He grabbed his head with all 4 hands. Dr. Emma White explained from her station. You're experiencing empathy, Commander. For the first time, you feel what others feel. All those worlds you conquered, your people are now feeling echoes of their fear. Screams came from the Crenari ships. Not screams of pain, but of understanding. For 3 centuries, they had caused suffering without feeling it. Now they felt it all. The watching races were amazed. The Altarians pulsed in patterns that meant awe. The Zendi sent waves of approval. Even the stone-like Gorvans showed movement, which meant extreme emotion for them. Humans are not crushing their enemy, said a Zendi elder. They are transforming them. Matt Jones worked at his computers. Captain, I've accessed their deep archives. There's something here. Something about the Crenari past. Put it on screen, Jack ordered. Let everyone see. Images appeared across the galaxy. Ancient images. They showed the Crenari as they once were. peaceful farmers on a small world. They showed how fear had changed them, how their first contact with a hostile species had twisted them into conquerors. "You weren't always like this," Jack said to Vexillar. "You became this way because you were afraid. You conquered others so they couldn't conquer you." Vexillar's black scales were fading back to purple. His 4 eyes leaked tears. We forgot. We forgot who we were." The unity field pulsed stronger. Now the Crenari were not just feeling each other's emotions. They were sharing memories. Good memories from before the fear. Memories of art, music, and family. Mike Torres watched his power readings. "Captain, something's happening. The field is drawing power from the Crenari ships but not damaging them. It's healing something." Jack smiled. "That's the real secret of the unity field. It doesn't just connect, it heals. It helps people remember who they really are." Around the galaxy, silence fell. Ancient races that had seen the rise and fall of empires watched something new. They watched an empire not fall, but transform. Ben Harris spoke up from weapons control. "Captain, I'm detecting movement, ships approaching from deep space." Amy checked her long-range scanners. "It's the rest of the Crenari Empire, over 5,000 ships. They're coming to help their fleet." The watching galaxy held its breath. Could the single human ship handle an even larger force? Jack didn't look worried. Let them come. The more who experience this, the better. The new Crenari ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They formed up for attack, weapons charging. But something strange happened. The ships already in the Unity field began to send messages. "Stop," came the call from 100 Crenari voices. "Don't attack. You need to feel this. You need to understand." The new arrivals hesitated. They had never heard Crenari beg for peace before. Their commander, Thulon, opened communications. "Commander, Vexlar, what's happening? Why haven't you destroyed this human ship?" Vexlar's image appeared. He looked different now. His scales were bright purple, and his 4 eyes showed something new. Wisdom. "Thulon, old friend, the humans haven't destroyed us. They've saved us. They've shown us who we used to be." "This is a trick," Thulon roared. "Some kind of mind control." Kate Walker spoke from the helm. "Captain, the new fleet is charging weapons. Should I prepare evasive maneuvers?" Jack shook his head. "No need. Extend the unity field." The golden glow expanded. It reached out like gentle hands touching the new Crenari ships. One by one, they stopped charging their weapons. One by one, they began to understand. Dr. Emma White monitored the effects. "Captain, the empathic resonance is spreading through their entire fleet. They're all connecting now, all remembering." The Eldari Prime stood up in his ancient chamber. "By the first stars," he whispered, "the humans have done what we thought impossible. They've ended a war without firing a shot." All across the galaxy, races that had lived in fear of the Crenari watched in amazement. The terror of 3 centuries was ending, not in fire and death, but in understanding and connection. Commander Thulon's ship drifted into the field. His crew felt the change immediately. Centuries of suppressed emotions flooded through them. They remembered their homeworld's green fields. They remembered songs their grandparents sang. They remembered what it felt like to create instead of destroy. "What have we become?" Thulon whispered. "What have we done?" Jack's voice was gentle. "You became what fear made you. But fear doesn't have to rule anymore. You can choose a different path." The unity field now held over 6,000 Crenari ships. All of them were experiencing the same transformation. The watching galaxy saw something unprecedented, an empire choosing to change itself. Paul Chen looked up from communications. "Captain, we're getting messages from all over the galaxy. The other races, they want to know how we did this." Jack walked to the front of his bridge. He looked out at the stars, at the golden glow surrounding thousands of former enemy ships. "Tell them the truth," he said. "We didn't invent a new weapon. We invented a new way of thinking. Instead of meeting force with force, we met fear with understanding. Instead of destroying our enemy, we helped them remember who they really are. The bridge crew stood taller. They had trained for combat, prepared for war. Instead, they had done something better. They had brought peace. Outside, in the cold depths of space, 6,000 Crenari ships floated in golden light. Inside those ships, an empire was being reborn. Not through conquest, but through connection. Not through fear, but through understanding. And, watching it all, the galaxy began to realize that the newest race among the stars might just be the wisest. News of the Crenari transformation spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, beings that had lived in fear for generations suddenly found themselves free. The mighty empire that had terrorized them was changing before their eyes, but not everyone was happy. On the planet Vorthon, the warrior race known as the Skarg gathered their war council. Their leader, Warlord Kell, pounded his armored fist on the stone table. "This cannot be allowed," he roared. "The Crenari were our rivals. Their strength kept us strong. Without them as enemies, we have no purpose." The Skarg had built their entire culture around fighting the Crenari. For 200 years they had prepared for the day when the two empires would clash. Now that dream was fading. On the bridge of the Solitary, Jack Morgan received the news calmly. Amy Lee frowned as she read the reports. "Captain, we have a problem. 3 warrior races are mobilizing their fleets, the Skarg, the Dominion of Rak, and the Bloody Claws. They say we've upset the balance of power." Jack nodded. "I expected this. Some races define themselves by their enemies. Take away the enemy and they don't know who they are." Lisa Park looked up from her science station. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures. Over 12,000 ships are gathering at the edge of this system." The crew exchanged glances. This was a force even larger than the Crenari fleet. 3 different warrior cultures, all united by one thing. They didn't want peace. "Incoming message," Paul Shen announced. "It's from the Skarg warlord." A massive creature appeared on screen. Warlord Kell looked like a mountain of muscle and metal. His species had evolved on a high-gravity world, making them incredibly strong. Cybernetic implants covered half his body. "Human," Kell growled. "You have destroyed the natural order. The strong should rule. The weak should serve. Your unity field is an abomination." Jack stood to face the screen. "The natural order? You mean endless war, countless deaths, whole worlds living in fear?" "Fear makes us strong," Kell shouted. "Comfort makes us weak. You would turn the galaxy into cattle." Behind Kell, other figures appeared. The Rak leader, a being of living crystal, sparkled with anger. The Bloody Claws commander, whose species looked like giant spiders made of metal, clicked its mandibles. "We demand you release the Crenari," the Rak leader said. Its voice sounded like breaking glass. "Let them be warriors again." Jack shook his head. "I can't do that. The Crenari have chosen their own path. They're free to leave the Unity field any time they want." This was true. The field held no one prisoner. But no Crenari ship had tried to leave. They were too busy rediscovering their lost culture, their art, their music. "Then we will destroy you," Warlord Kell declared. "And we will destroy any Crenari who have become weak." The 3 allied fleets began to move. 12,000 ships, all armed with the deadliest weapons their races could create. The watching galaxy held its breath again, but something unexpected happened. The Crenari fleet, still glowing in the Unity field, began to move. They placed themselves between the Solitary and the approaching armada. Commander Vexillar's face appeared on screen. He looked different now, calmer, wiser. "Warlord Kell, old enemy, we Crenari have fought you many times, but we will not let you harm these humans." "You dare protect them?" Kell was shocked. "You were the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Now, you shield the ones who made you weak?" Vexillar smiled. It was the first time anyone had seen a Crenari smile. "They didn't make us weak, Kell. They made us remember. We were farmers once. Artists, musicians. We became warriors because we were afraid. Now we choose to be more." The Allied warrior fleet stopped, confused. They had expected to fight humans and weakened Crenari. They hadn't expected to face Crenari who chose peace. Mike Torres looked at his engineering panel. Captain, the Unity field is doing something new. It's resonating with the Crenari ships, but differently than before. Jack watched the readings. They're not just in the field anymore. They're part of it. They're adding their energy to it. This was beyond what Earth scientists had predicted. The Crenari weren't just being healed by the field, they were making it stronger. Dr. Emma White gasped at her medical readings. Captain, the empathic resonance is increasing exponentially. The Crenari are broadcasting their memories, their feelings, their transformation. It's reaching out beyond the field. Waves of golden energy pulsed from the combined human-Crenari formation. These waves washed over the warrior fleets. Ships began to slow. Weapons stopped charging. What's happening? Warlord Kell demanded. But his voice was already changing. Less angry, more confused. On thousands of warrior ships, something beautiful began. Warriors who had only known battle started to remember other things. The Skarg remembered their ancient poetry. The Rak recalled their crystal gardens. The Bloody Claws remembered their hive songs. Ben Harris watched from his weapons station. Captain, their fleets are stopping. No, not just stopping. They're experiencing what the Crenari experienced. The Unity field hadn't expanded to capture them. Instead, the transformed Crenari were sharing their journey, broadcasting the peace they had found, showing that strength could mean more than just fighting. Warlord Kell's cybernetic parts began to spark. His organic eye showed tears. I remember my mother. She sang to me. Before the wars. Before I became this. The Rak leader's crystalline form began to sing. It was a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. We were gardeners. We grew crystal forests that sang in the solar winds. Why did we stop? The Bloody Claws commander's metal legs clicked a rhythm. The hive song. We danced once, all of us together, before we learned to build weapons. Jack watched as 12,000 ships full of warriors began to remember who they were before war, define them. The galaxy watched in amazement as its fiercest fighters chose to put down their weapons. But then alarms sounded on the solitary. Kate Walker's hands flew over her controls. Captain, we have a problem, a big one. Report, Jack ordered. Amy Lee's face was pale. Long-range scanners are detecting a massive object approaching. It's not a ship. It's something else. Something very old. Lisa Park's instruments went wild. Captain, the energy readings are off the scale. Whatever it is, it's older than any known civilization. And it's coming fast. Matt Jones managed to clear up the scanner image. What appeared on screen made everyone gasp. It wasn't a ship. It was a creature, a being of pure energy, larger than planets, older than stars. The Eldari Prime's voice echoed across all channels. By the first darkness, it's a void walker. We thought they were myth. The creature approached, and with it came a darkness that seemed to eat light itself. All the unity and peace that had been building suddenly faced its greatest test. The transformed fleets, Crenari, Skarg, Rak, and Bloody Claws, looked tiny before this ancient terror. Jack stood tall on his bridge. Humanity had changed the galaxy with understanding and empathy. Now they faced something that might be beyond even those powerful tools. The Void Walker's voice, when it came, was like the death of stars. You disturb the silence. You bring light where there should be darkness. This ends now. The golden glow of the Unity field flickered. For the first time since this all began, Jack Morgan felt doubt. They had transformed warriors into peacemakers. But how do you transform something that existed before peace or war were even concepts? The real test was about to begin. The Void Walker filled space like a living nightmare. Its body was made of darkness that ate light. Stars dimmed where it passed. Space itself seemed to bend away from it in fear. All ships, hold formation, Jack Morgan commanded. His voice was steady, but his crew could see the concern in his eyes. The ancient being spoke again. its voice like the end of all things. For billions of years I have kept the silence. Before your stars were born I was. You small things with your small lights disturbed the eternal dark. Lisa Park's instruments screamed warnings. Captain, this entity is affecting space-time around us. The unity field is struggling to maintain cohesion. The golden glow that had transformed armies flickered like a candle in a storm. Ships throughout the combined fleet reported power fluctuations. The peace they had found seemed fragile before this cosmic horror. What do you want? Jack asked the creature. Want? The Void Walker laughed, and nearby asteroids crumbled to dust. I am beyond want. I am the end of noise, the final silence. You have made the galaxy loud with your connections, your understanding. This cannot be. Commander Vexillar spoke up. Great One, we mean no disrespect. We have found peace. Surely that is better than war. Peace. War. Both are noise. Both disturb the void. Only silence is eternal. The creature moved closer. Where it passed, communication systems failed. The bonds between the transformed fleets began to weaken. Fear crept back into hearts that had just learned hope. Amy Lee gripped her console. Captain, it's disrupting everything. The unity field, our shields, even basic communication, if it gets much closer. Jack stood up. Then we don't let it get closer. Mike, can you boost power to the field? Mike Torres worked frantically. I can try, Captain, but this thing operates on a level beyond our technology. The watching galaxy trembled. The Eldari Prime spoke to his council. The Void Walkers were old when we were young. They are entropy itself, the end of all things. How can humans hope to stop that? But Jack Morgan hadn't given up. He turned to his crew. Remember why we're here. Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to connect. To understand. Even this creature must have a story. Dr. Emma White looked up suddenly. Captain, I'm reading something strange. The Void Walker. It has a frequency. Like a heartbeat, but slower. Much slower. What kind of frequency? Jack asked. Loneliness, Emma said softly. It's broadcasting loneliness. The bridge went quiet. They had expected hunger or malice, not loneliness. Jack made a decision that would echo through history. Drop our shields, all of them. Captain? Amy was shocked. Without shields, that thing could destroy us with a thought. Maybe, Jack said. But shields are barriers, and we're not here to create barriers. The Solitary's defenses fell away. The small human ship floated naked before a being that had existed since the universe was young. The watching galaxy held its breath. What are you doing, little thing? The Void Walker asked. Jack stepped forward. You're lonely. You've been alone since before stars were born. That's why you want silence. Because in silence you don't have to hear others living while you exist alone. The darkness around the creature rippled. You know nothing of my existence. I am beyond your understanding. Are you? Jack asked. We just helped the Krenari remember who they were. We helped warriors remember peace. Maybe we can help you remember too. Remember what? That you weren't always alone. The Void Walker paused. For a being of such power, the pause spoke volumes. Lisa Park had been working at her station. Now she spoke up. Captain, I've been analyzing its energy patterns. This creature, it's not just one being, it's many, compressed, merged, like an entire civilization that became one entity to survive something terrible. The darkness around the Void Walker churned. Silence. You know nothing. But the Solitary's scanners kept working. The crew kept analyzing. And slowly, a story emerged. Matt Jones put pieces together from energy signatures. Captain, I think I understand. Long ago, before our galaxy was born, there was another. When it began to die, one race found a way to survive. They merged themselves into single beings. But the process, it made them forget who they had been. The Void Walker's form shuddered. No, we chose this. We chose the silence. Did you? Jack asked gently. Or have you been running from a memory too painful to face? The unity field, weakened but not broken, began to pulse with new purpose. Not to capture or transform, but to offer, to share. Let us help you remember, Jack said. Not alone, but together, all of us. The transformed fleets, human, Crenari, Skarg, Rock, and Bloody Claws, added their energy to the field. Together, they reached out to the ancient being. No, the Voidwalker roared. I don't want to remember. It hurts too much. But the memories came anyway. A galaxy dying, a race watching their stars go out one by one. The desperate choice to survive by becoming something else. The forgetting that came after, because remembering their lost home was too painful. The darkness around the creature began to change. Points of light appeared. Faces, millions of faces of the beings that had joined to become one. We were people, the Voidwalker whispered. We had names. We had families. We sang songs. You still can, Jack said. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to be silence. You can be part of something again. The unity field embraced the ancient being, not to force change, but to offer choice. For the first time in billions of years, the Voidwalker had to decide, remain in eternal loneliness or risk connection again. The creature's darkness began to shift. The faces became clearer. Voices silent for eons began to speak. We were the eternal choir, one voice said. We sang the stars to sleep, said another. We harmonized with cosmic strings, added a third. The Voidwalker was transforming. Not into something new, but back into what it had been. The unity field helped it remember, helped it heal the ancient wound of loss. Across the galaxy, beings watched in awe as darkness became light. The creature that had threatened to silence everything became a chorus of millions. Their song filled space not with noise but with harmony. Thank you, the voices said together. We forgot the music. We forgot ourselves. You helped us remember. Jack smiled. That's what humans do. We connect. We understand. We help others remember who they really are. The galaxy would never be the same. News spread to every corner of known space. The humans hadn't just stopped the Crenari. They had transformed warriors into peacemakers. They had turned an ancient cosmic horror into a choir of light. 6 months later, the first Galactic Council convened. Representatives from every race gathered, not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals. The Crenari spoke of their rediscovered arts. The Skarg shared their poetry. The Eternal Choir sang songs that helped heal old wounds between species. And at the center of it all was Earth's representative, Captain Jack Morgan, the human who had shown the galaxy that the greatest strength wasn't in weapons or shields, but in understanding and connection. How did you know? The Eldari Prime asked him. How did you know that even the Voidwalker could be reached? Jack's answer was simple. Because everyone, everything, just wants to be understood, to not be alone. That's the most human truth we know, and it turns out it's universal. The solitary still flies through space, but now it's not alone. It travels with a fleet of friends, former enemies who became family. They explore together, learn together, and sometimes, when the stars are right, they sing together. The galaxy had braced for a fleet, but humanity sent a single ship. And that ship changed everything, not through force, but through the most powerful weapon of all, the ability to see others as they truly are and help them become who they were meant to be. In the end, the greatest truth was the simplest. Connection is stronger than conquest. Understanding defeats fear. And sometimes one ship carrying the right message can transform an entire galaxy.